Hello, and welcome to Creative Juice Without Pulp. This is the first episode of Adelaide Creatives, and I interviewed Nick Brz, who's a creative director for an advertising agency in Adelaide. We talked about being a young creative, working in an agency, dealing with clients, and all things creativity. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and let's get to the interview. Hello, and welcome to Adelaide Creatives on Creative Juice Without Pulp. Today, I'm here with Nick Brz, an Adelaide creative. I'm Elliot Wagner, and let's get to the interview. All right, so you've been the creative director for Nation Creative since 2016, alongside also being head of award school from 2018 to 2020.
Yeah, I guess before that, I guess in Adelaide, I was a associate creative director at Hybrid before coming over to Nation. Previous to that, just worked as a senior designer at a design studio based out of Sydney. So kind of born and bred in Adelaide, so came through visual communications at UniSA.
Yeah, nice.
As a graphic designer, and I kind of just worked my way up from there.
Cool, nice. So, what do you do as a creative director? What is the role of a creative director?
It's wide and varied. It's directing creative, but I should probably elaborate on that a little bit more. I guess basically I just I oversee the creative output from Nation. So there's a team here made up of copywriters and designers and art directors, and we've got a small studio in Canberra as well. So my I guess day-to-day role is making sure that the creative is responding to the briefs and to the strategy, and that it's just at a quality that's doing what it's supposed to do. That's engaging and relevant and hopefully inspiring. But so a lot of the day-to-day stuff actually involves managing people, funnily enough, making sure that they've got everything they need to do their job properly, giving advice. It's easy to get pretty lost in an idea or lost in a brief quite often. So it's just making sure people stay on track. There's a bit of quality control mixed in there as well, and just pretty much making sure everything keeps running smoothly.
Yeah, nice, cool. So Nation started in 2012, and you joined in 2016. When you joined, was there any? So you joined as the creative director. Was there anything that you didn't expect part of that role, or it was?
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. It was definitely a step up for me. Coming in as creative director. Nation's got a bit of a strange. It was a pretty bumpy start, to be honest. The Nation was owned by two owners, Greg Kanogi and Jeff Robertson. Jeff was the creative director and Greg's creative partner, but he wanted to take a step back and, in his words, work on the fun, cool stuff and not worry about the day-to-day stuff, which I can very much relate to now. And I'm not sure if you're aware, though, probably about 6 months, about 6 months after I started, Jeff unfortunately passed away.
Oh, okay.
And so very suddenly. And so from that moment on, it was just kind of just trying to support Greg and the team as much as I could and really work through that. And it feels like, we've definitely come through the other side. So that was definitely an unexpected start for me at Nation. And it's obviously put a lot of pressure on everyone, but also probably brought us all a lot closer together as well.
So what made you choose the creative director position out of all the creative positions there are out there? What makes that one stand out to you?
This one in particular at Nation,
or just being a creative director in general. What about it is, what do you like more about it than other creative positions, or anything like that?
It's funny. Like when I was working as a designer, and it always kind of coveted that step up and that responsibility to be able to make the decisions, and then suddenly you're thrust into this seat that makes all the decisions, and I wish you could just go back to being a designer and make some cool stuff. But what definitely appeals to me is to be able to see, and it's something that I really strive to enable the team to do, so to have a greater awareness of the entire process. Being able to oversee and see an idea come to life from client brief through to the strategists, then into the creative team to see how they interpret it, and then the execution of it. As creative director, I kind of get to see the entire journey. I get to see what the client was asking for in the first place, and then what actually ends up getting made or created, and that's really rewarding. And it's actually very rewarding to see that happen when it's driven by other people as well, and kind of you can see that creativity and that kind of like that bubbling excitement when they feel like they've got something really special. I definitely love that visibility over the entire business. I guess why I've chosen to work in creative jobs is that it's just kind of, it's exciting. It's every day is kind of a bit of a different challenge. It can be a bit of a grind, but it depends on your attitude and how you tackle that. But there's so much variety with different artists. Different clients, different jobs coming in. Every day is pretty much a new day. I think I'm thinking too far ahead, because I was about to say, like, as a kid, all I ever wanted to be was an artist. Like I love drawing and sketching, and but the biggest problem for me, besides a semi lack of skill, was trying to figure out what to draw or what to paint. Like I didn't ever really I wasn't ever able to latch onto some kind of form of inspiration, like go and paint landscapes or go and paint this, draw this kind of thing. I could never decide what to draw. So I was really drawn to being a designer, because you get given on a piece of paper, here, make this look great, or solve this problem. So that's what I really like. That, I guess, it's when you strip away all the software and all the technology, it's just problem solving. In a way, which I really like, and it's just trying to do that in an artistic way, which is, I guess, marries in those artistic tendencies and passions. So it's a really unique role, really. It's kind of hard. I'm having flashbacks to family barbecues where I'm trying to explain what I actually do, and even I struggle to explain it to my parents and my family. And my dad's common line at a family barbecue is, when someone asks him what Nick does, his response is something with computers, which explains why they all ask me to fix. Explains why they always ask me to fix their browser windows when they've got too many viruses or something like that. But I'm basically their IT guy. But sorry, it was a very long-winded answer, but I guess it's that constant changing challenge. And then as a creative director, seeing how different people with personality types tackle that in their own way.
Exactly. Oh, cool. So with clients, you talked about that briefly. Are you part of the pitching process with the designers and everything, and how does that all work? And then do you have any strategies that you use, or how does that all work for someone like me? Sorry, I should have probably mentioned, this is all kind of the idea of this interview is kind of aimed at people like me, young creatives who maybe haven't necessarily been in an agency environment and kind of want to get an understanding of, like, what's it even like. So sorry, back to the question, but with clients, how does that whole process work, pitching to them, and who's involved?
I definitely am involved. Pitching's an interesting one, because it's kind of, on one hand, you think you're being asked to do your thing for free, with the promise of hopefully winning. But on the other hand, it's really, really exciting. You can kind of you get the brief, and you kind of get to just throw your hat in the ring and come up with the best idea you can in the time available. It can be a bit frustrating, because it is basically just an ideas competition, I guess, because we really try to approach every job with the proper thought around a strategic approach around what will actually work. But in pitches, quite often you don't have all that information, so you're kind of guessing a lot of the time. I guess how it works.
Information because it's not in the brief, or do you not have that information because they don't want to give out all of their statistics yet if they're not working with you?
Normally it's not quite in the brief, and the information will be made available to the winning pitch. So, which is, I guess, it's how you approach that. Then you're not. It's a bit of a mind shift, because you're not necessarily trying to fix the greater problem. You're just trying to in a pitch environment demonstrate that you can communicate a great idea, and you've got all the skills to do so.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, definitely involved in most pitches.
Yeah.
Depending on capacity and timelines, we have various teams working on it. And if I'm not doing the work myself, then it's basically just making sure that the strategic approach and the creative approach actually working together and responding to each other. But yeah, then most of the time the unfortunate person who has to front up and present and decide whether to dress up or not at those pitches. But yeah, I guess a pitch is like it's like anything. It's, I guess, that ability to communicate your idea with clarity. And it's that really like and it's tricky now because well, you know, there's a lot of people, when you can go online and buy 100 logos for $50 if you like. Doesn't mean any of them are good, but actually executing the artwork is almost a given. Like almost anyone that's going to be invited to pitch is going to have that. So it's about you've been through award school. It's kind of about just being able to communicate your idea based off a key insight quickly and clearly, because in those pitches quite often you've got you know, sometimes you've got 45 minutes, an hour tops to get through your presentation. So you want to be memorable, you want to be pretty creative and present well, but really kind of demonstrate an understanding of what they've asked you to do and clearly articulate what a creative response would be.
Do you find the more creative pitches win, or the more safer options, or does it, you know, vary between industries? Or
to be honest, I feel like the most successful pitches we've had are more often than not the ones where we've read their brief and we have reinterpreted what we think the answer is. Like we've gone with our gut of what we think is a great response rather than doing exactly what they've asked us to do. Like, you know, with being respectful, like you know, responding to what they've asked for in the brief, but not just down the line doing exactly what's written in the brief, just taking that problem and presenting a solution that they may not have even thought of. And just demonstrating the way we could approach the job if we're lucky enough to win it and get some real information out of you. So I guess that, again, that kind of gives you confidence that actually it's not, because I do feel for the client in the brief, they have to sit through 5 different agencies presenting the same thing. They're probably a bit limited with what they can give you. So it's all a bit, it is a bit of a strange dance, the pitch presentations, especially when you see the other agencies in the waiting rooms on the way out or the way in.
Okay, it's normally
it does happen.
Place. They don't come to you?
Not always. There's a bit, it's a bit of a mix, but quite often it's in their place, so you're all going to them. But yeah, it's kind of it's that weird mix of exhilarating, fun and stress, because the other thing about pitches is that they're always going on top of whatever normal work you've got going.
Exactly.
So, and
how do you balance that allocation on time on, you know, going after new clients versus time on working with the ones that you already have?
Well, it's a constant balance. You got to, I think you've got to really make an effort to pick and choose which ones to actually go for, and it's about, I guess, client management a little bit, making sure. And I guess as a freelancer, you might have the same experience. That sometimes clients and yourself, you're just not a good fit, or your skill sets don't quite match up. So it's not that anything is wrong with either of you. It's just it's probably someone more suitable. And we go through that sometimes when we look at a pitch. If we feel like we're kind of maybe not suited, it's not just the dollar figures, but if we're not suited to actually giving them exactly what they need after the pitch, then we just kind of politely decline to pitch. And that also sometimes it might be a risk versus reward kind of thing. Say, well, we're actually really busy with our existing paying clients who should always come first. We don't have time to dedicate to this, so we'll just choose not to, or we'll get some external resources in to try and help get through. But it's really a case by case basis.
Do say if you have 2 designers in an agency, would this is a hypothetical. So you have two
Mm.
designers. Would one work on pitches and one work on existing clients that maybe they've gotten familiar with designing for a certain client over the time? Or would, people mix and match on whatever projects that work best for
Uh,
the timeline? Or
definitely mix and match. I wouldn't make anyone a pitch doctor. I think because it can be horribly soul destroying to pour your soul into these projects and constantly get them put in the bin. Because I guess the other thing about pitches is that it's funny if you lose, you dedicate weeks of your life to this thing and you put your heart and soul into it, and you craft it, and then you go in there and you lose. You can't do anything with that work. It's
No,
just because it's so customized. It's just throw it in the
exactly.
bin basically.
Yeah.
And even if you win, quite often that's happened. You win, you go, yeah, everyone's happy, and then they're like, okay, now here's the real brief, and so
Yes.
that work that you did goes in the bin.
Yeah.
So it's good, but I think it's healthy to kind of have a break of that every now and then and produce something real, even if it's just for your local, caravan park. At least it's real. You're changing someone's business life or someone's business, making it better. So it definitely mix and match. Sometimes play to people's strengths, but you definitely wouldn't pigeonhole anyone doing one thing all the time.
Yeah. Speaking of the like prospective clients and stuff and pitches, Adelaide's advertising scene's obviously highly dependent on government contracts. Is there a big difference on pitching towards, the government versus private companies, or is there any difference in terms of, just how you go about that in a major way?
Not particularly. Mainly just we're kind of approaching the same way. We try and get the brief and try and lock down what we think it's asking us to do and pull apart the problem a little bit. The only main difference I find that, like, with government, there's a bit more red tape around it, a bit more structure around. They might have like a procurement officer in the room to make sure that certain things are answered. Or sometimes, quite often they let you ask questions beforehand, before the pitch, to clarify the brief.
Right.
And in the government ones, any questions that are answered by them, the answers are shared with everyone competing.
Okay.
Which is actually great. It's like an even playing field, so no one gets a leg up before the thing. So if you ask a pretty insightful question and get a great answer, that those question and answers are normally shared out. So that's probably the only difference between doing a government one and a private one. Private ones, just there's no rules. It's the other thing, the government ones do stick pretty tightly to the time limits when you're presenting, because they need to make it fair. So it's that makes sense. Quite often the government ones, the technology never works when you're presenting, or you get. The other day I got faced with a VGA cable, which I haven't seen one of them for 10 years, but obviously didn't plug into my Mac, so I had to make do. But but all in all, they're pretty much the same.
Other than like the large government focus in Adelaide, you find there's Adelaide's client base is very different to other places, and kind of what makes Adelaide unique in terms of advertising?
I think it's pretty tough in Adelaide. I think if you can make it here, it's quite competitive, and there's lots of talented creative people here. So all the agencies, or the bigger ones, they all produce really lovely work. So and obviously you're all competing over a much smaller pie, I guess. But so I think it's a bit tougher. And I've spoken to people friends overseas that have come back, and they've remarked the similar thing, saying it's they thought coming back from a larger country overseas would be think it would be easier here, but it's not. It's the inverse, because it's shorter timelines, more competitive, and big expectations, which is probably a good thing in some respects. It kind of keeps you on your toes and makes you kind of work harder. But as far as what's unique about Adelaide, I don't know. It's kind of, I think, for the government stuff, it's their messaging is obviously unique to the population here, and I guess it's scrutinized pretty closely, because it's funny, people love to hate on the government, but then if you say something that they don't agree with from the government, they'll hit you for that as well. So they're quite you kind of it's got that will attack the government and defend South Australia in the same sentence. So there's that kind of nuance that you deal with. Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's I imagine every city has a nuance about how advertising works in that city, because it's all about target audience, really, isn't it? If you're talking to a specific audience, you have to kind of tailor what you're saying to resonate with them.
Exactly.
And Adelaide's no different, really. So
yeah, cool. One question is, a lot of young creatives like me picture, at the advertising agencies with that like Mad Men kind of style, smoking a cigar and drinking whiskey whilst, and then taking clients out to, a cigar lounge or whatever. Is that whole idea of advertising real, or or was it real and it's not real anymore in Adelaide, or how
I'm sure it was real. I'm sure it was real. I've heard a lot of stories. I kind of missed that indulgent golden era of advertising. I think it's not like I definitely think it was around. It's not like it's not like Mad Men now. Like it's like any other workplace. You can go out and have lunches and you can have your Christmas parties and everything, but there's also a lot of work to be done on pretty short deadlines. So I think if you kind of need to make the most of your time at the office, or if you're working from home, or during working hours. So I guess it's funny. There's elements of that you get close to who you work with, so you kind of become friends with them. But it's not like Mad Men.
No, no, that's fair. And you know how you kind of see on TV and stuff, ad agencies having ping pong tables and bean bags, and you can come in at 11 a.m. instead, and stuff like that. Is that relevant? Is that real, or is it cubicle life? What's the more realistic?
It's somewhere halfway in between. I think. I mean, it's pretty. Every place I've worked in is kind of open plan, which has its ups and downs. If you're a writer who needs silence to concentrate, it's probably pretty difficult in an open plan office with the music playing. I mean, we've got a video game in the office here. It doesn't get used anywhere near as much as you'd think it would.
What's the game?
But it's one of those little coffee table tabletop ones with 60. I think the most popular game on it's Frogger and Donkey Kong, I think. It's funny. It's kind of changed after coming out of COVID, because obviously everyone went home, and now everyone's allowed to be back full time, but we've kind of maintained that flexibility to work from home. Which kind of negates the loud music problem for some people, but it's a bit more flexible now. So, but I guess the vibe I describe it as quite volatile. Like some days it's really quiet and everyone's just getting on with their work. Some days, some people might just like to go out for lunch, or we have some food brought in and it's quite bubbly and loud. It's up and down. And I don't know. I imagine most workplaces are like that. But I mean, we have music playing. We've got a Sonos system in here, so it's kind of that democratization of the music playlist. Like anyone can add anything. And it's a bit of a faux pas to cancel anyone else's music unless you get a bit of a quorum of everyone that you kill something that we don't like. But so that keeps it pretty live. I mean, at least it doesn't feel too sterile and dead and quiet. But then you've got a lot more video conferences going on, so you need to be a bit respectful of who's talking to who. But so I think up and down. The vibes kind of depending on how much work's coming through.
Well, do you feel the video conferences and stuff has affected pitching or like actual brainstorming or working as a team? Like how's that changed for ad agencies?
It does take getting used to, and it also depends on your personality. Like there's still nothing like sitting across from someone, being able to read their body language, and especially with collaborating on ideas and stuff. Across the video chat, it just loses something. It feels like much more like you're working separately and just come together occasionally rather than actually tossing ideas back and forth. And you kind of lose that incidental chat when you're getting a coffee or something like that.
Exactly.
But we have an office in Canberra as well, and it's done wonders for bringing bring those two offices together in a much more collaborative way. Whereas previously it would be like I'd go over there maybe once a month or something, but now you're talking to them every day, going through work and sharing your screen. So it's been really great. But yeah, it does definitely still a place for that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I think it is the end of it's probably, the travel junket for a job is probably dead.
Yeah.
Because there's not much of a need to go to just have a meeting with someone anymore.
No, exactly.
You had to have a pretty good reason to go over or go fly somewhere.
When you're pitching to a client, do you do like 5 ideas or 3 ideas? And then what's the percentage of like, because I'm presuming you have some crazy ideas in mind, the big ideas. And then how does that, are you doing 70% crazy ideas, or do you save one crazy idea for the end? Or
no, I really try. I really, it varies. Definitely varies. I don't want to. I really endeavor not to present anything I don't want them to do.
Yes.
Like, so it might, like, even if it's, sometimes it's like, if it's really crazy, it's just like oh look, we had this idea. We just want to share it with you and see what happens.
Yeah.
As far as the number, is a weird industry standard. Everyone always asks for 3.
Yeah. Okay.
But we don't always do that. We quite often do, if we have 3 good ideas that we think would work, we present them. If we kind of just come up with one killer one that we just love, we just throw everything into that and go, this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you end up with here's idea number 1 and it's fantastic. And then we did this,
Yeah.
You go, and it's obvious that it's just a throwaway idea. It's just a waste of everyone's time, really.
Yeah.
So it definitely varies, but we've gone into, I've also done presentations where we've given them a spectrum, like we've given like 5 ideas, and here's the one that we think you asked for, like it's pretty straight, and then here's a twist on that, and here's one that's a bit further, here's one you haven't thought of, and here's a crazy one.
Cool. Yeah.
And what that does do is kind of definitely gauges out where their comfort level is.
Exactly.
And it ends up going, they push themselves a little bit. But if you walked in with the crazy one, you'd be a bit disappointed that, or maybe feel that you haven't listened to them properly, or they can't use it, or it still has to, even though it's crazy, it still has to be something that strategically makes sense on some level, So it definitely varies. It definitely varies from job to job, from client to client. They always ask for 3. And if we do give multiple, I really try to make sure that they're different ideas. They're not just variations on one idea that have just just change the color, change the headline. They're just given some different. If you're going to do multiple ideas, you might as well try and, I guess, stretch them in different directions to see where they're most comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah, cool. Do you feel there's like certain tropes or fallbacks in Australian advertising, or like, I don't know, cliches that you see often, or it could be Adelaide advertising specifically, or Australia, anything you see and you think, we've seen that 100 times now?
Well, actually, one, I mean, it's funny, it's weird. Stereotypes get me, because obviously there's also an inherent laziness to using a really obvious stereotype, because it's been done 1,000 times before. So that kind of gets me. But the thing that I really can't wrap my head around are car ads.
Okay.
Like, because they're all the same.
Yeah.
Like, well, most of them are the same. Like, there's like a pretty nice new car driving on a bendy road through mountains or on the beach, and they've got a drone camera going around. Or there's a Nissan one where they're just driving through a abandoned factory. I just don't understand. I would love to see the presentation of that concept to the car dealer. What's your idea? I will, give us a car and we'll drive it around and film it and look at the butt. Say, yep, cool, that's great. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I'm not they probably work really well, because you watch TV or wherever you see it and you go, that car looks nice, I like the style of it, I'm going to buy one. But there's never an idea in it. Like, there's very, very rare you get a car ad with a really, really cool idea.
Have you seen
Toyota do it pretty well?
Have you seen the I think it's which one is it? Golf, mini golf advert, where they're like closing the door of the golf and they're like, but it sounds like a golf, and then they're like, showing other cars and they're always comparing it to the Golf.
Just handle like a Golf.
Baffled sump, double overhead cam.
Oh yeah, like a Golf.
And if you listen carefully, it sounds just like a Golf.
I'm liking those ones more because they've come up with an insight.
Yeah.
You know, and they're rolling out this idea. Yeah, I guess it's more the Nissan are bad for it. You know, great cars. I have a Nissan. It seems like a fun car. Doesn't break down. That's all I really ask from it. But but yeah, they're just driving. And I just I would love to see. Well, it's like I'd love to see how they actually pitched that idea in, or if they were like, maybe they did the 5 ideas and here's what you asked for and here's the crazy one, and this just went, nah, I want that one.
They're like, this one's proven to work, we'll go with it. Maybe not just cliches, but like if you talk maybe a popular thing that clients think in terms of like strategies, and you think, oh, how about we try this new angle, and they think, oh, you know, we've always gone for this demographic, or we've always gone for this, you know.
I think
tagline
it's more of a target audience kind of thing. It's that sometimes they overreach who they appeal to. They're like, okay, this ad has to appeal to males and females age 18 to 65, and you go, okay, there's a lot of variation in that. And it's that age old thing, you know, you got to be, if you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to be nothing to no one. And I guess it's it's funny, like, it's when you see, you know, no one, you know, sounds bad, but no one really wants to watch ads. Like, you get some really good ads, but they're inherently an intrusion into whatever other show you're watching. So you want to make it pretty good. And I think sometimes clients they underestimate the intelligence of the viewer. Like if they, you know, there is a trend to go, well, you've got to get the brand logo and name up in the first 5 seconds. So you've got that brand recognition, and then you got to do this, and you have the brand cues throughout the ad, and then we want the voiceover of the brand at the end in case they leave the room. We need to say it really loud so they can hear it from the other room. And like, you know, if they've already left the room, you've lost them. You're not your ad's not engaged them. And I think I feel like that's probably come from a bit of a they've done some market research around, like, they've analyzed the data of how people watch ads. But all of it kind of gets blown out of the water if they just actually get engaged and like the message that you say, like the ad, to go, oh, that makes me feel good, or makes me feel good about the brand, or feel good about myself. So I think that I don't know, it's just a personal, I think it's maybe a bit of a hangover from digital advertising, where they can analyze every second of, you know, you get, congratulations, you've got, you know, 10 million impressions on this ad, or, you know, eyeballs on this ad. It's like, it's a banner ad on the side of a news page. I'm not sure that's 10 million people actually engaging with your ad. It's just how many people scrolled past it, kind of thing. And I think that data is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I think we can really with the targeting and retargeting we do with digital banner ads and things like that, digital campaigns, it's awesome. And you can A/B test things to see what works and what people respond to. But you can take that analysis of data too far sometimes when you're really trying to emotionally engage someone. The data becomes a bit less meaningful when it's being applied to a creative emotional engagement execution. So I think finding that balance, I think, is probably what I'd strive for, to kind of be able to test and learn from what we're doing, but not to overanalyze human emotions, kind of thing.
Do you find then it's more restrictive to do maybe digital campaigns over TV ads or something, maybe where you can be more specific with target audience, or since there's often like a full campaign, that doesn't limit you too often, or is that ever an issue you run into?
I think you just have to, I think it's easy to be a little bit lazy with digital campaigns. You kind of slap, like, and I think it's all it's back to a creative concept level. Like I don't like digital banner ads that are just like, you know, are just the TV whacked on the banner, and it doesn't work anymore, but it's just you're going through the motions and rolling out a campaign. It's not integrated in any way, shape or form. Like I think that's what that's what annoys me a little bit when the thought hasn't been put into the channel that you're operating.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, so when I guess the channel that you're operating in should really well, the idea should be strong enough that you can adapt that to whatever channel you're working in,
Yeah.
rather than just grabbing one thing and slapping it across all the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's back to that whole integrated campaign brief where it should be working together, but leveraging the strengths of the channel that you're playing in.
Are there any red flags with companies that you see early on, so you know to maybe not work with them, like certain language they use, or is there maybe, you know, they're talking
I,
about budget way too much, or is there, you
do you
know,
mean? So, do you mean as an agency dealing with a client, or as an employee trying to get a job,
yeah, no,
or
sorry, as
both?
a
Or both?
agent, more an agency trying to find clients, and you know, I'm guessing you'll get a ton of small businesses as well messaging every day, not understanding the potential budget and stuff, saying, "Oh, we have $200."
Yeah.
And then
Red flags. Uh, not really. I feel. Yeah, I guess it's hard. Not off the bat. Like I wouldn't want to
yeah,
write everyone off initially, but it's more
no, yeah,
making sure that I understand what they're looking for.
mhm,
I mean, quite often, like say if they truly just need some designs done, like a graphic designer,
yeah,
then coming to an agency, it could be too expensive for them, because even
yes,
just the as soon as you talk to you're gonna have the project director, and then you have me, and then you have the designer. You're kind of already adding up time. So
yeah,
if they actually just need need someone that's good at what they're doing, they need some designs done, they can just go to a sole contractor or a freelancer. Then that would be the only thing where we can kind of just look at it and talk to them about it, saying for what you need, you could talk to any of these people, or go and find a freelancer, because it'll just save you a whole lot of money.
yeah,
But that's the only one off the top of my head that comes to
yeah.
mind.
So this one's, these ones will focus very much on young creatives in Adelaide. If you were 21 right now, wanting to work in an ad agency, what are the steps that you would do in order to try to make that happen?
I would first up get my portfolio in order,
Yeah,
put together a little body of work, whether it's hypothetical work or real work, doesn't really matter.
mhm,
I'd introduce myself to the agencies, like
yeah.
walk right in and say, I'm so and so, and I'm looking for work.
You would walk right in. Is that what you're telling everyone?
Yeah, walk in the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
walk in the front door. You might not get through to anyone, but the worst thing the worst outcome of that is you can leave your portfolio on a business card, and
Yeah.
that's it. I would apply for something like award school,
Cool. Yeah.
to get a bit of an entry into an idea of what the industry is like.
Yeah.
Even if you don't necessarily get in or win, you'll get a bit of an overview of what it's actually like day to day. If you do get in, you'll meet a lot of people that are currently working in the industry.
Mhm.
Even if that's a bit of a step too far, you could even go along to some of the AADC events. A
Yes.
lot of industry people are there. It's just getting known. I mean,
Cool.
it's tough to try and crack it and get in. And I
Yeah.
definitely understand that. But everyone on the other side, it's funny, they're not trying to keep you out. They're just
No.
busy.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot of it is about timing. They'll be we'll be working on something, and then some big job will land, and we'll need someone quick. So you turn around and see who's there.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just staying top of mind and making sure people actually know who you are,
Mhm.
because they're not really going to seek you out, because they just don't have time.
Yeah. Plus, they will most likely have a catalog of people anyway. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
speaking of the portfolio thing you said at first, do you recommend? So, say if you're 21 and you have no portfolio, we'll take a graphic designer. Do you recommend they do free work for actual companies, or do a bunch of do double the amount of just what's it called, spec work, just coming up with random businesses and creating a portfolio like that?
Yeah, I think for a graphic designer, first cab off the rank would be do your own brand. Nothing. That's a red flag when you kind of there's a designer and they're their own brand. They don't present themselves well. So I think I'd definitely start there. I'm a bit funny about free work. I mean,
Okay.
if you're gonna, oh, it's fine. If you need to build up your portfolio, I'm not saying don't do it, but if you are going to choose someone, I don't know, choose your family business or someone that's actually that you can bring some value to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or just make up something, like pick your favorite brand and do something for them. A mix is good, because I guess if it is real work, then I guess we can see that you probably work to a deadline. You probably have to incorporate feedback, all that kind of stuff. But then also just pick a love job that you want to do, so you can really show everything you can do creatively. And just doesn't have to be massive. Just a few different pieces to show how you kind of can execute something and how your mind works, really.
Do you have, or do most agencies have, a preferred way of portfolios? Is that Insta or Behance or personal website? Or
Not really. Probably like sites like Behance and stuff are all right. I think an independent, like say like a nicely produced PDF or personal website is probably still the benchmark to go. At least it's not just uploading images into someone else's site. It's actually gone to the effort of doing it for yourself, and you've got your own thing. But yeah, I mean, occasionally we get them digitally. Occasionally we have had people dropping off printed portfolios. They can be expensive, so like if you do it nicely, you are allowed to come back and pick it up. Like you don't have to spend a whole heap of money. Just make sure they know that you're coming back. It could be a nice way of getting a second invitation to the agency. But yeah, just anything. It's just that little bit of effort goes a long way, I think, and it's just staying relevant, I guess, top of mind.
So, on top of staying relevant, what are some attributes that you look for, young creatives when you're looking to hire them? Is it the skill come the highest, or is it experience, or is it
it's probably going to be all of the above. It's a little bit, it's obviously attitude in there as well, like being proactive and eager to kind of tackle those problems. That's it's kind of funny. It's I guess it's taking that step with because like I said before, everyone's busy. And it's not an excuse, but being proactive means you can go like, I wasn't sure what to do, so I did this, and because of these reasons is much more encouraging than I didn't know what to do, so I've been sitting here waiting for someone. And that's a pretty logical response if you're feeling a bit nervous and you're in a new place. But you don't want to take too many risks. But it's just that, I guess, that ability to try and problem solve independently or collaboratively with someone else. So that proactiveness is really appealing. That willingness to learn. Technical skills there's obviously a base level that need to be able to function. Speed comes with experience. Don't expect any like junior or any inexperienced designer to be amazing from the get-go. That's something you kind of you're going to learn on the job anyway. So it's more, again, it's probably more about that proactiveness and the ability to communicate, to be able to distill a problem into an idea and then tell someone what that idea is. Because even if you can't do the artwork or the animation yourself, it's far more valuable to me if you can at least describe what the solution might be. Like it can't live in your head and we hope it gets out somehow. You need to be able to tell someone else to be able to create your vision, and that's not an easy skill to have either. So
well, speaking of having a variety of skills, do you find as a creative, is the like kind of the border of like, you're a graphic designer, you're a copywriter, you're a this, you're a that, Is that line kind of blending, and everyone can kind of do a bit of everything, or are agencies saying we want an illustrator and they will be the illustrator, or how does that hiring process work? Should a young person in Adelaide say, I'm going to be the world's best photographer for an agency, or should they say, I'm going to be pretty good at photography, I'm going to be pretty good at this, I'm going to be pretty good at that?
It's not going to be a simple answer. I mean, everyone at Nation, everyone here probably has a specialty. Their core role is either, or at least in the creative department, either a kind of a words person or a visual person. Like there's copywriters, there's designers and art directors, but it does definitely blurs at times. Like it definitely helps to be a designer that can write.
Yes.
I mean, we're not expecting you to write essays and novels, but if you really push, you could probably come up with a headline or a tagline or a call to action. And it only helps you because on top of that, there's going to come a time where you need to write a presentation. Or like at the very base level, I want you to be able to write an email to a client without spelling mistakes in it. So, but yeah, definitely, I think specializing works, and you can. It's a much more clearer and tangible proposition to an agency. I guess you go, I'm a copywriter.
Yeah,
this is what I do, and you can know what you're getting. Being if you're a jack of all trades, you want to be pretty good at all of them. Like it's not, no one wants the average person at everything. But so normally, it's like you're majoring in something, but you've got a second degree in something else, if that makes sense. So you've still got this core competency that you can reliably write your copy. But even within our designers and our copywriters, they all have different strengths within that discipline as well. Like some of our designers are far more interested in the digital space, some more in photography. So it's finding a bit of a blend. But I think being the best at everything is probably impossible. But it's but like also the copywriters here have a fantastic ability to they're copywriters, but they can direct a photo shoot, or they know what they want to achieve, which means they can also direct a designer or an animator. And the designers here and the art directors can go the other way and kind of talk to a copywriter or someone else to try, and they've got the idea, but they just need someone to help them articulate it in a certain way. So I guess the simple answer, rounding back, is I probably would pick a discipline that you focus on. But don't hide your other skills. But that way it makes it far easier to define yourself as a proposition to an employer.
Right.
But maybe that's bad advice. I don't know. I just, you know what I mean? Like, it just means it's easier to look at a portfolio and go, this is a beautifully created portfolio, and man, the writing's good, or this is an amazing piece of prose, but it's styled well. But at least there's still a starting point to define what you have to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can build on that.
Yeah, cool. What do you do to stay creative? All right, there's not too many more questions, but yeah.
So what do I do to stay creative? It's I don't know, there's so many cliche answers. I mean, I do try to exercise.
Oh, sorry.
Any tips? No, I do try to exercise. So that's a very cliche answer. I do find that if I'm playing sport or whatever, it's a kind of way to turn my brain off a little bit. I like I find that because I'm, I guess, trying to come up with concepts or designs, I find that sometimes I need to switch off from that, but to still stimulate creativity. I find I like to enjoy creativity in other mediums. And then particularly like music or art, going to the art gallery or something like that. I find that way I kind of still get that fix of being really excited by something. It's just one step to the left of what I've been trying to crack all week or something like that. So you kind of get all the good stuff without any of the frustration, just for a little window. yeah, I got something. What else? I find inspiration. I find strange because I mean, there's so many great websites and even portfolio websites.
Yeah.
And they're great for a time, but then they kind of feel like a bit of a time suck where you just end up scrolling through all this amazing work.
I
And
get stuck on Behance for like hours. That
yeah,
one's
yeah. And the worst thing about that is sometimes if I'm stuck for something and then you hop on a site like that and you scroll through for a while and then you find exactly what you get. There's this moment of excitement when you go, wow, this is exactly what I need to. Oh no, just someone else has already done it. I can't use it. I thought I just sparked this original idea, but no, I just saw it right here. So that's the danger of that kind of stuff, that it can kind of lead you down the path, but it still has its place and can some amazing work around, but yeah, it can be dangerous sometimes. But yeah, I guess to staying creative, I think it's just a constant challenge, really. Like it's that constantly trying to stay curious. And I do find music and art good for that. And yeah, sport to switch off. And sometimes to try and stay creative, I do nothing. I find that, and maybe this is a sports thing, but I find sometimes it's when I'm driving home from work, like I like have to put on a podcast and listen to that or something, or listen to some music. And I started just listening to nothing. And I find that it kind of helps sometimes because I think that like you're constantly seeking stimulus from everything and taking this information in. And driving is one of those things that you kind of almost do automatically. So there's some base level of brain activity happening. And then without that music stimulus, then I feel like sometimes that really helps just to try and sort some stuff out. I found that that's helped lately. I guess it's a pretty crappy form of meditation. I should try that. But yeah, doing nothing sometimes helps too.
For coming up or jotting down ideas, do you do Notepad? Do you recommend a phone app? What are your thoughts on that?
I do a lot of paper stuff just on Notepad, but I have started also do just some stuff on the iPad just with a pencil. I don't know, I've been searching to try and find a note-taking app that I really like. I've been switching between Evernote and Penultimate is kind of okay, or just sometimes the notes. I haven't really found one that I really love. Well, I was trying one called Concept, I think. I'm still trying to find that.
I use Google Keep and have like, but I don't know if you can draw in that, but just for like, every idea I just
jotting stuff down. I do like the idea of not having to, flick back through reams of paper. But I just haven't really locked in the app that I want to kind of just commit to yet. But it is very handy to have it all in one spot.
What's your favorite piece of work that you've made? Or
favorite piece of work?
Part of? To brag for a bit.
It's funny. It's kind of I find that maybe it's the eternal torment of a designer, but I find that I move on about 2 weeks after I've created something. I don't like it anymore. But one part that stands out, one project that stands out to me was done years ago. I was lucky enough to work on, I don't know if you know the author Tim Winton. He wrote a book called Cloud Street, and it was being made into a miniseries on Foxtel.
Yeah, cool.
And Penguin were re-releasing the book. And through where I was working, I got a crack at doing the cover art of it. And that was really fun. I was doing a cover art of this classic Australian book. And so I worked on it for a while and sent it all off, and he loved it and ended up signing a copy and giving it back to me, and we got to go on set to take photos at the set of the TV show. And it was just a really nice journey from start to finish, and to actually get to be able to talk to Tim Winton about it and have him say, I really like it, and you captured the essence of the book, was really rewarding. Because I thought it was going to be one of those ones where you send off the PDF and you never hear about again. But he actually went out of his way to come back and say thank you and invite us to the launch of it and everything. That was one that sticks in my mind. I really liked. I think, and more recently, we've done worked on the bushfire campaigns for the last 4 years, and I really enjoy those ones because that's behavior change stuff. So it's I live in the hills, so it's quite personally relevant to me, and so being able to try and change people's attitudes around being complacent about bushfire.
Fire, fire, go away. Do we leave or do we stay? All that's left to do is pray.
Why risk it? Do your 5-minute bushfire plan today.
It's been really rewarding to work on, and quite harrowing at times. And even just seeing it change from when we started doing it. There hadn't been a major bushfire event for many years. And then the year before last, there was a big one through Cuddly Creek. And then, so just the way we've had to really, I guess, pivot and change how we've reacted to that from a strategy and creative point of view has been really challenging but rewarding, I think. And they're a really great client that are really trusting and open with their information and how they go about it. And they've got, and you can really understand that they've got a job to do. Putting ads out and messaging is super important. They want to educate the community, but it's also, they give us so much time when you kind of realize like, we're just the marketing advertising guys and girls that come in to try and make an ad. And it's so much deeper than that. And it is very important about community safety, but it's been a really fantastic the project to work on over the last 4 years, I think it's been. So that's probably, and that's more advertising, and the other one was more kind of design work, but they're probably off the top of my head the two campaign or two projects that stick out, but there's been heaps of others. I'm sure.
What's the most common creative mistake that you see? I guess it's kind of similar question to the cliche thing, but in anything you see Comic Sans used too often and it bugs you. Whatever it is,
No, I think what bugs me a little bit is the use of I was going to say the use of influencers, right? Incorrectly. I mean, there's definitely a place. If you've got an influencer that has like they're spot on with your target audience, but there's a whole, it's just a bit lazy. You go, we'll just pay this influencer for a post around this, and think that's your marketing plan. That's done. So I think I'm not against influencers in general. I don't think they should be given free stuff and results for for likes and shares and stuff. But I think when influencers are used in a lazy manner, is probably my creative gripe, because it's just lazy. It's just so lazy. And I think the other, I reckon the other creative mistake is the assumption that the creative is magic and it's going to fix everything. So like a creative answer without a solid strategic base or a clear brief, it's just, it might work, it might not. It's just kind of it just makes it really subjective, and it's just a bit of sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on. It's you're the creative guys, fix it. And you go, and then you put yourself in a position where you don't even know what you're doing. You're just making something that feels right to you, but you're probably not the target audience, and you probably don't have all the information. And that's probably a mistake that I feel is made sometimes, where the foundational work up front isn't done properly for whatever reason, and that's just bundled up and thrown to the creative department to fix and make good. That's probably it.
One last question. How do you define creativity in your field?
I've heard creativity defined as the ability to solve problems with different approaches and new approaches. But I feel like it's the ability to fall in love with the problem and not the solution. The solution is wonderful, and that's the shiny thing that everyone sees and applauds. But the real creativity is that the ability to really get in there and problem solve and really love that process of finding new ways to solve those problems. Because if you can manage that, then especially in an agency environment where you get thrown big juicy jobs with massive budgets and small jobs with zero budgets and short time frames, none of that really matters if you thrive on the challenge of the problem. And that's how it kind of addresses a question you said before about how you stay creative. And that's a little key to it. I just how you stay sane, because it is a bit full on at times. But that ability to just, I guess, separate everything out and just focus on what you're trying to solve, but relishing that challenge. I think that's the key to creativity, because you keep defining or keep discovering new ways of tackling things, which I guess leads back to what the definition of it is.
Yeah, beauty. Well, thank you so much, man, for being on. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, well, thank you for watching the first episode of Adelaide Creatives with Nick Brz on Creative Juice Without Pulp. And tune in for the next episode. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, beauty, mate. Thank you so much. See you, man.
No worries, mate. See ya.
See ya. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching the first ever episode of Adelaide Creatives. Nick did an awesome job, and I hope you really liked this episode. If you have anyone that you want me to interview, make sure you send me a message. Please hit the like and subscribe if you made it this far. And thanks for watching.